Mark Clattenburg, where were you born?
Consett, in this beautiful small part of just outside Durham, a place called Shotley Bridge, where there was a hospital. Now it's all gone, but it's famous for a couple of people. Paul Collingwood, the cricketer. So there's one or two people have come from this small part of the world. So yes, I was born on the Sunderland side of the city. However, I quickly turned to become a Newcastle fan.
And what's your earliest memory? Do you have a memory of Consett itself? Because I know in your book you say, I'm always called Consett's Mark Clattenburg, and actually I'm not really, because I hardly remember it, but I'm wondering if you do have an earliest memory.
I've gone back
Yeah.
as a referee in the Northern League, so I'm Consett. It doesn't bring back memories because you don't really have that childhood memory. The family quickly moved from Durham to over to Cramlington, Blythe, and then Cramlington, which is north of the city of Newcastle. So I can't remember much of Consett. However, when you see Shotley Bridge, you think in the old hospital where it used to be, you think, yeah, that's where I was born, but it doesn't have much memories.
That's interesting. So in terms of growing up, in your book you say you had a happy childhood. I mean, it was tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, but from a financial side, my parents didn't have much money. My father was a bus driver. My mother didn't work. I remember a very early memory when we lived in Blythe that we had an outside toilet. And I remember one side of the toilet was for the coal, and the other side was the freezing cold toilet with newspaper. You never had toilet roll. So they were the early memories of my life. But the happy times were, I had two brothers and two sisters, so we played together. We were very much together as a family, and the 6 weeks holidays that we had as children, our parents never seen us, and it was safe to go out. It's not as it is much now, but we used to spend all of the 6 weeks holiday adventuring and enjoying life. So the early part was good. I even remember small games that we used to play, marbles, beer mats against the wall. There was a pub called the Kitty Brewster pub in Blythe, in Bebbside, and the school was opposite. There was two things wrong with this school. The pub was outside and there was a sweet shop. One, you used to go and steal the beer mats, and two, you used to go and get the sweet shop in the morning. And I remember getting smacked every time the teacher used to catch you with a sweet in your mouth. Mr. Barker used to take you to the front of the class and give you a slap across the backside. And secretly you liked it, being punished. But there were certain memories that give you good grounding in life, where you respected teachers. You didn't want to get caught, of course, but it was probably funny that you had to go up in front of the class and get the old, not the slipper but the hand. Probably you can't do that now for sure, but it's all changed.
So growing up, was there any religion in your life? I mean, did you go to church or
there was an early part, yes. We used to, the family used to go to Salvation Army. We used to go and visit the ceremony on a Sunday mornings. We used to go, many of my brothers and sisters. My mother and father never pushed us to be religious, and probably got less religious after the Salvation Army, because what Salvation Army did, not just from a religion point of view, but you did football events, you did sports day. I remember representing my place in Cramlington, Salvation Army, at Gateshead Stadium. So to run on Gateshead International Stadium on the track was such a proud moment as a child. So you got great things, and when for example, you were always proud that if you went every week, you got a better book at the end of the year. So there was small things like that made you go, because you did want that book, quality book at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can empathise with that. So it wasn't, there was no religion. You weren't, there was nothing about the actual religious sense itself that you grew up with. It was just a place to go, really.
I think the Salvation Army was very clever in its way, that it was fun for a child. It was fun. It wasn't. There was no such thing. They never preached to you, but however, you sang songs. But it was was very much an interaction, to play, to enjoy on a Sunday, and they did a lot of things outside, which was, you know, really, really enjoyable. And youth clubs were big in them days because there was nowhere for children to go. There was no such thing as activity centres or mobile phones or... I remember my first computer, Spectrum, was a 48K, and I remember or even the Commodore 64, we ended up getting a Commodore 64, and I remember loading a management game, a football management game, and you used to have to set it away before your tea because it still wasn't loaded after your tea. It used to take hours, and then it used to get stuck.
I remember.
It used to get stuck, and then you were like, oh, you'd have to go through it all again. And I remember religiously on a Sunday evening, we used to spend all our time on the top 40, but you had to cut the adverts out. So you had to work all night to play, to record on this big Walkman thing, and to stop and start so you didn't get the adverts in, so you could get the top 40 on your Walkman.
I think a lot of people from that time will remember doing exactly that. I certainly do as well. So in terms of religion, it wasn't a big thing then. I mean, what about now, today? Are you religious today? Do you believe in God?
Not that I don't believe in God. I'm not a religious person. I'm a person who respects, of course, but I don't go to church. With us living in Greece, for example, Greek people are very religious, but I'm not to that level. However, I've got personal things that have happened to us in my life, and you hope that you gain not power, but some help from up above, that you think, you know what, I could learn from them experiences, because I lost one of my best friends in life in 2013 through suicide. And you're thinking, when you're in these dark moments of life, when you lose somebody you had 2 children, to feel like that, you hope that there's somebody up there that you can speak to try and make you to get through them dark moments. Because even I raised this in my book, The Whistleblower, that you do have dark moments in life, and you've got to be able to try and speak to people to try and get through them. And one of the biggest strengths was for example, was my wife. She was very, very strong, supportive, that got us through the dark moments.
That's really interesting. So there might be a God but not absolutely certain. I think a lot of people probably have the same view, don't they? They don't quite know.
But there's always a support there, and people don't realise that there is people to speak to, and even just going to the quiet place. And even before games, when I was younger, I used to think, pray to myself that I didn't want to make a mistake, and it seemed to work. And I was like thankful, at the end of the game, I didn't make a mistake.
It's interesting you say about your friend, and I'm sorry to hear that. You strike me as someone who's got a very tight-knit group of friends that you trust, and that's it. After that, you really are, after that, it's the big wide world out there. I mean, what lies behind that mask, that exterior?
It's a very difficult situation, because the industry I was in, there was a lot of difficult. Everybody wanted your job. Everybody wanted the big matches, or they said they wanted the big matches, and a lot of nastiness. There was a lot of backstabbing. There was a lot of difficult situations, and it's difficult when you're building friendships, because with the industry I was in, and the media spotlight, you had to pick and choose your friends well. Even, for example, and what changed for me the world was mobile phones. How mobile phones changed everything, because now, from people used to have a laugh that I seen Mark Clattenburg drinking a beer, became a picture which was permanent, and that became really, really difficult to deal with. So when you went on holiday with friends, you had to act in a certain way. You couldn't be one of the boys, and people will understand that. I'm not saying recklessly, but not saying I couldn't enjoy myself. However, I had to be very careful how I enjoyed myself and where I enjoyed myself. And I remember a situation, how a camera angle can work. I was in a hotel business lounge in Birmingham, in the Crown Plaza. before a game. I think the game was Aston Villa. And I was having a glass of Diet Coke. However, on the table, I hadn't cleared some empty bottles of beer that somebody had had previously. Never thought nothing of it. And the camera angle, it looked like I was having a beer. And I wasn't. I was having a Diet Coke. The hotel could confirm it, sure. But it just shows being in that environment or them bottles on the table, people can perceive it in different ways. And not that you don't trust everyone, but you become a bit more guarded. That some people have an ulterior motive. And social media changed a lot of things. How, things that are written on social media. And so what I've done is over the years, I've got a close-knit friends, and I don't let many people in. I don't trust many people. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's just because I don't want to get damaged. People have enough perception of me as a person because of what they read in the media. They don't really know me as a person. And one of my biggest regrets in life is being there for people. And talking about my friend Peter I'll never forget, I came back from the under-17 World Cup in Abu Dhabi. And I was lying on the sofa. It was a Sunday afternoon. Sunderland were playing Man City. He went to the game with his son. And he wanted to go out with us because I hadn't been in the UK for 4 or 5 weeks. And he said, would you like to go for a beer? And it was Sunday night in the local village of Seaham in the County Durham. And yeah, I'll go. But I got tired during the afternoon because of the travel back. I decided to send him a message. Sorry, Peter, I can't go out tonight. And the next day he decided to end his life. And not saying I'm completely guilty about it, but I would hope that I could have spoke to him. I've got that regret that I didn't go out with him that night. That could have helped the situation, and it still lives with us that I could have done something about it. And when it happened, I was frustrated with myself that I let friends down. I could have just went out even for 1 or 2 beers, and I didn't. And so you realise in life that keep people close to you, keep your friends close to you, and treat them with big respect, because you just never know what people are suffering, especially now with COVID and everything around. You don't know how people are acting, because probably now I think people are less likely to admit things. And it is a regret, because I don't know I could have solved it. However, I would have hoped that he might have spoke to us over a beer and things could have been different.
I mean, you sound really regretful about that and sad about that. I mean, that really has made an impact on you, hasn't it? I can tell by and what you've just said about it is sort of a legacy to it.
It was a negative and a positive, because I used to go out on the pitch. I remember standing in Bernabeu in Real Madrid, and I looked up in the stadium and I went, at the end of the match, that's for you, Peter. So he used to drive us on that I wanted to, because he was proud of what he was great to have as a friend. He was trustworthy, and he was a friend. How I got to know him was from my wife. She was best friends with his wife. So nobody ever thought we'd get on. We had 2 different personalities. However, the personalities came together, and we really, really got on well. And it was one of them relationships where I could trust him. We talked, and it was like because I lost my dad at early 20s, so I never really had a father, and I probably needed a father figure. And in football, I got one in Pierluigi Chiellini, but I didn't really have one in my personal life.
I mean, I've known you for a few years now, and you are sort of a quiet, how I see was a quiet, sort of quite shy, quite reserved person who finds it difficult probably to trust people who you don't know very well. And I wonder, where that comes from, what is behind that, and you're certainly not the person who say you are in your book on your first line, which I won't repeat, but you say, this is, most people will think I'm this, and I hope they don't. I wonder whether a lot of that comes from reading in your book about your childhood and how, you were bullied, and you don't devote a lot of time to it, but it was, you had a difficult sort of experience, and that when you talk about you were going home and you had to find 5 different routes, and it sounds as though there was nobody on your side when you were a child.
Yeah, the problem was I think there was always a divide, especially in them years when I was at school, of the children who lived in a private house with a mortgage to somebody that lived in a council house. And there was always this divide. The only thing that allowed me to survive was that I was good at football. And I was the first one picked. And probably that's where the jealousy happened, because I was first picked. I was good at football. I was good at rugby. I was good at cricket. I was good at every sport through first school, private school, first school and middle school. So there was that jealousy, in which created, because I came from a council background, it created this impression. I always remember my last lessons working out my routes home, because they would wait under the underpass, and they would want to punch us, they would want to fight us, they would want to chase us, they want to scare us, and it was quite difficult because my parents couldn't afford nice trainers. My parents couldn't afford, the school uniform was the school uniform I probably had for 2 years. Because my family weren't privileged, and that my parents did the best they could, but with that it came a lot of jealousy and what I wanted to achieve from the book was mainly that even though you might find your life difficult, or you feel your life's difficult, you can succeed. And that's something that I wanted to get across, that even from the background I had, which from my parents, they give us the love. However, from 12 years old, I worked for my family. I had 3 paper rounds. And with that, I was the one that brought the money in just to put food on the table. So from that side of it, I always wanted to look after my family. And for me, it's, to show children, what, you can, you might feel sorry for yourself. However, there is a chance. And when I ended my career in my international career, because my last referee match was in China, but the last international match was Australia against Brazil in the MCG in Melbourne. And I just looked up and I thought, you know what, I've done it. I achieved the highest I could ever achieve. And if I thought about that at 10 years old when I was in the classroom, I would have said it would never have happened. However, it did give us the strength. It gave us probably the not the grounding, but the actual tools in life to make us succeed. And okay, I got some luck. I got a lot of luck during my life, because you need luck, but you also need skill. And you can't. Everybody says. I remember Pierluigi Collina saying to me, "You need 100% skill now. You need 90% skill, 10% luck." And I probably got more than 10% luck in life. How things just worked out. I wanted to play football as a child, wasn't good enough. School teacher had to say, "Why not try refereeing?" My father having a youth side, so it helped us go and referee in them matches, and just being accepted that I wasn't a bad referee. Okay. There was other things that used to happen. For example, going into Whitley Bay with my friends on a night out, and people would recognise you, oh, that bad referee on a Sunday, and want to cause problems. However, you learn to survive, and you used to just try and calm them down a bit, like, sorry, I made the mistakes, and I'm human, and come have a beer together and try and diffuse it, So
but there's an element of, and in your book, there's an element of, I've shown you, I've done it, and I've shown you, and I did this on my own, and nobody was there.
I didn't do it on my own. I did it with me, because.
But this was really, I'm showing you what I've done it. I get that real sense of, I won't say the 2 words that you use in the book. My son wanted to have a look at the book, and I said, no, you can't read it.
There's certain things in there.
But do you know what I mean? There's that element of, I've shown you.
Yeah.
What happened, I've shown you.
It comes back from 2008. I got on Premier League 2004, and everybody was so positive, all the clubs, the media. Because in that era between 2000 and 2004, the Philip Donny era was very old school, very regimental, and the clubs didn't want that. They wanted somebody who could manage, be a breath of fresh air. Me and Howard Webb came in and give that element of management, speak to the players liked it. And then my world crashed in 2008, and that's when I met Claire, and I split up with a woman. And I was accused of a lot of things, from match fixing to drug taking. This went on in March, and then I could feel what was going on in March. However, they didn't reveal everything till August, and then that's when they put the letter of complaint into PG & Well, which was the company I work for, that I was match fixing, drug taking, and I had to spend 8 months out of the game as a punishment. It was really dark times, because, you know, the world were portraying you in the media of who you were, but they didn't know the truth. They didn't know the truth. I couldn't speak the truth. And this is what I wanted to try and do in the book as well, to give people a chance, because what was written in the media isn't always how it is. And I suffered a lot. Some of it was my fault. I accept some of it was my fault. However, when a business goes into liquidation and you haven't been paid off a company, it gets, how far do you go at paying your own money? I was paying my own money, and because of somebody not paying their bills, and it was a spiral effect, and I got caught in a world which probably gives us good learning in life, because to be sacked and then reinstated in it was early 2009, then, and meeting Claire, I remember Claire saying to us, you know, it's over, the relationship, she couldn't handle it. It was so much pressure, and we got through it. And after that I came back and refereed and started refereeing again, and it was really, really tough to be accused of something that happened again in 2012 with Oba Mikel, to be accused of something that you haven't done, or some of it's not your fault. It's really difficult to deal with, because you're in the public eye and you're having to deal with millions of people around the world making accusations or suggestions of what you've said and what you've done, when they actually don't know the truth, and that you can't even speak the truth. And that's something really difficult as a referee. You can't come out and put your side across.
I mean, in the book you use the word tormented at one point, and you know that there's, you say you can't put your side across, and you know you seem in the book, you seem a bit tormented. You seem you seem to be angry with lots of people for things they've done. But I think that comes from a hurt that you feel. You feel hurt. Because anger comes from hurt, really, I think. And you feel as though people have hurt you. I mean, you know, and that's, for me, that's quite a sad thing, actually. And I always think hurt comes from childhood, and hurt goes through life like that. But do you feel hurt?
See, if I look at the early part of my career as a referee, and I was very fortunate in my business life also. I had a good job. I was estimating manager for a mechanical electrical company from a very young age, which was a very responsible job. So I was always in a good moment in my work life, and I was brought into refereeing, and I had some great support. I had some really good people who helped. And I remember my first boss, Keith Hackett, huge supporter. And I remember when I got on in 2004, because our salaries were different. The top guys got, because they were on the list longer, they got the top salaries. I was new onto the list, so you had to work. After 3 years, you reached the top salary. However, after a short period of time, I was promoted to the top salary, because Keith could see me potential. I got some big matches, huge matches. He trusted us. Okay, I didn't get every decision right. I made some mistakes, of course, I'm a human. However, he respected us, the clubs liked us as a referee, and he gave us that support that I needed. He was like a father figure, and that's what I was probably missing, was the father figure. And then when Mike Riley took over in 2009, that changed. And Mike went down his route of his management style, and his management style wasn't perfect for me. And what he created was, you had different groups within the big group of referees, and it created a lot of animosity and a lot of infighting. And with that, I also had issues with David Ellery from a FIFA side, because he was part of the English FA, which promoted you to FIFA and made recommendations to FIFA and UEFA for your matches. And, you know, I don't think David Ellery liked us as a person, which was fine. I remember a game at Blackburn Sunderland. He reported us for not having a shave. That's up to him, how he wants his lifestyle. He came from Harrow School. He had a very regimental way. However, I was from Newcastle, from a council house, from a normal background where I didn't understand that.
Do you feel misunderstood? Do you feel
Yeah,
as though people
I suppose I've
learned
learned over the years how to deal with things. Probably I've said things in the past and people have misunderstood what I'm trying to say. I'm always trying to help. And people don't really want to listen. That was one of the things I always learned in working with Peach and Well, was when we used to meet up every 2 weeks. There was no point speaking because they didn't want you to speak. They didn't want you to challenge the decisions. And for me, this was crazy. It's all about learning and passing each other's experiences, how to referee the big matches, and that was always lost. It felt, for example, before 2016, the 2014-2015 season was a disaster for me domestically, and the small things like Neil Warnock's situation at West Bromwich Albion, Villa, yeah, I think it was, West Brom Villa, no, West Brom Crystal Palace, and he rang us after the match because I didn't see him. It was a private number. I answered it. I reported myself. I said Neil Warnock contacted us. Nothing was said, so I reported myself. I didn't have to report myself. And I did everything that other referees were doing. They were leaving the stadiums after the match in a private way, which I did. And I got punished one match, and they were leaking things to the media, and that's not acceptable. However, other referees were doing a lot worse, but PG and World weren't leaking to them. And I always felt they were just trying to damage me before the Euros. And I always felt, the way I felt was they wanted Martin Atkinson as the representative for the Euro, and they didn't want me, and they were trying to damage us in every way, use the media to portray me as the bad person. And you know what? I did make mistakes. I was young. I made lots of mistakes. However, I was treated differently, and I became one of the most senior referees in the group, so I had to take the responsibility on. But you have to be fair with everyone else, and I suppose once I got to 2016 and I achieved everything I wanted to achieve in 3 months, even before that.
But you were, I mean, I know you're a good man, but you sort of set out to say, again with the first line in the book, you set out to say, look, you don't think I'm a good man, and now I'm going to tell my story. You know, you think I'm this, but I'm not. It's a real sense that you want to not just set the record straight, but say, look, this is not the person that I actually am. And I know you say at one point in the book, you say, you know, when I was refereeing, it was an act, and that's what got me where I was, because you have to put this aura together. But in one respect, I almost got the sense reading that you know, that a lot of what you're doing is an act, because you really don't feel as though there are people who you can trust. You don't feel as though there are people out there who they're going to automatically misunderstand you, and they may well do. And
yeah, but we'll have this situation in soap operas. For example, Coronation Street and EastEnders. The characters in this, what you see on TV isn't the actual person in real life, and people don't understand that. And I was a referee. Yes, I was a bit different. However, one of the biggest regrets for me, and maybe how I came across, I don't know, was that people called us arrogant. And one of the biggest compliment to me always was when I was out and people came towards me and spoke, and at the end of it they would say, "My God, you're not arrogant." Or I would be out with friends and somebody would speak to my wife and say, "Look, he's not arrogant, he's completely different to what I thought he was going to be." And that's something that used to frustrate me, that either the media did it, the media is very
Yeah.
powerful. The media portrayed me in a way that I wasn't a person. Yes, I was guarded. I had to be, because I was one of the elite referees in the world. I had to be very guarded. I remember I used to, when I first got on the international list, I would go for a beer after the match in the city, in the bar. In the end, I couldn't, because it would be a photograph. So, even small details which people don't understand. I remember my son, he started liking Arsenal and he had an Arsenal strip on. It's just small details. I can't go out with you with that shirt on. And he will laugh. And I remember the story, and I think it was in the book. I remember playing football with Nathan, and he was no more than 10. And we're taking penalty shootouts, and he said, "Dad, who are you refereeing tomorrow?" And I says, "Oh, I'm Bolton, Watford when they win the Premier League." And he says, "What will the score be?" I said, 1-0. Just laughing. You do as a child, don't you? You banter on. I said, 1-0. He said, "Who will score?" And I went, because we're taking penalties, I went, "Kevin Davies, a penalty." Never thought nothing of it. Goes to pick him up on the Sunday in the street. All the parents are outside. And they said, "You're match fixing?" I went, "What are you on about match fixing?" Nathan had told everybody, Bolton were going to win 1-0 with Kevin Davies' penalty, and he did last minute, but it was Stonewall. But it just shows how life can be, and how, one slip can damage. And I've made many slips in my life. 2008 was an example where I had a really good friend and a girlfriend that we ended up parting company during the same period and tried to damage my life. And that's probably one of the moments that I probably got more guarded than ever, because I thought, who else wants to destroy my life? And I wanted to be the best I could be. I was proud to be in this position as a Premier League referee. I didn't want to destroy it, but people wanted to destroy me. Maybe jealousy. I don't know.
There is that barrier, isn't there, that you've created, and I completely understand why, the experiences that you've had, and they go all the way back, don't they, from the bullying, the thing whereby you really felt as though you were literally on your own. I think. I mean that's the sense that I get, that there was no one there who was going to look out for you and protect you completely.
Yeah, my brothers did me. If we go back to me childhood, my brothers tried, and my older brother tried, but my father was away, and my mother ended up having to work.
But you don't talk to your family. I mean, you don't talk to some of your family now. I read in the book.
Just my sisters now. Just one of my sisters, and it's sad, really. But everybody's gone in different directions, and there's a lot of, probably created because of how my mother decided to take a direction. She didn't keep everybody together. And I had this discussion with her many, many years ago. It wasn't about money and fame. Love's free. And one of the biggest regrets that she has to have is that she can give love and it doesn't cost anything, even though she didn't have anything. Just that support, and everything else comes with it. However, she wanted the money side. She was always wanting to lend money, and for me, it wasn't just about that. I wanted to be loved as a person, and probably that's where I go back to Keith Hackett and Pierluigi Collina. Keith Hackett was initially, but Pierluigi Collina was my father, and he would call us and at least once a month, and okay, he gave me some right kickings when I deserved it. But he was always a supporter, and I would die for him on the football pitch, and that was the difference. He became this father to us, which was very special. That we had this relationship, and he got the best out of us. And I don't think if I had that relationship, I don't think I would have achieved what I did.
I mean, that was an adult love, I suppose, in that sense. But there's a love that everybody needs, I think, from their parents. And did you feel loved?
At times. I remember my childhood, I would be beat up, of course. It's life. And some difficult moments as a child. Yes, my mother and father loved us, of course they did. And I think they were proud. My father would certainly be proud of what I've achieved, of course. And before he died, I think I was just getting into refereeing, and if he could look down now and realise what I actually done for the family. Because my family came into the UK from sport, because my granddad was an ice hockey player for Durham Wasps. So that's how the family came to England. My father and his granddad and his grandmother. And they split up quite quickly. Grandmother moved to Scotland, so I had no granddad, step-granddad. And then, the family grew as us. So it's quite a unique name, which does help. Does help. Trust me, it does help.
You say in the book it's better than being called Smith. You say, or was it worse than being called Smith?
Because having the word Clattenburg, okay, it sometimes you do want to be lost in the background. However, it's got its advantages as well. Trust me that you're in, as a group of referees, you want 28,000. If you want to stand out, it's not just about your hairstyle or whatever. Having a unique name helped. So, I have to be thankful for the name Clattenburg. Except I used to be called a cake, didn't I? I was a Battenberg and all sorts. But,
no, it's interesting what you say about your mum and dad, because I know with your dad that you talk about him in the book, and you feel that regret and anger, which are sort of two recurring themes really, which you have a sort of a sense of frustration, I think it is, and a sense of hurt. I mean, I'd rather use those words than regret and anger, and that you didn't quite get it completely settled with your dad before he died, and you were young, and I'm just wondering, and I suppose this comes back to the religious question a little bit, but what would you say to him if you could see him now and you met him again? What would you want to say to him?
Sorry. Just sorry,
Sorry for
just
what?
Because we were fighting at the time, and I went to see him in the hospital on the Thursday. He died on the Friday, and why we were fighting over what? Okay, he was ill and probably didn't know what he was saying, but I was 21 years old, with spots, arrogant, child. It's my own fault, and it's a regret, isn't it? You learn when you get older that to have a different way of life, different perspective of life, and when you're younger, you think you're right all the time when you're not. And it's just, I knew he supported us a lot because they used to take us to the matches, and they didn't give us guidance, of course, but they were always supportive, because when you're starting off refereeing, it's like riding a bike. You fall off it, but you love riding your bikes. You jump back on it again. Refereeing was like that. And what do you think he would say to you if you said sorry? What would be? Because I bet you would have said sorry to him when you were a child. Lots of times, but my father was a difficult, very disciplined, which wasn't a bad thing. When I look back at my childhood, it's probably made us the person I am now. But I'm different. I wouldn't. I have a daughter in my life. I'm completely different. She can have the world. I'm sick of buying Roblox at the moment. That's all my credit card keeps doing. Roblox.
Don't give them the credit card.
Yeah, but no, she knows. I remember once she asked for me 3 numbers on the back of my car, and I was like, oh no. But it's different now, I suppose, with children and families. I think generations have moved on. For example, smacking now was normal then. It's not now. So things have certainly changed. I think, parents are a lot more working now because you want to give your child the best in life. So, and I've tried to do that. That's, something that used to spur us on, that I wanted to give Mia and Nathan, because Nathan didn't live with me. He lived with his mother, but Mia especially. But Nathan the same, that I could give them, but not what they wanted, but however I could give them, things in life that I didn't have.
Although you talk about, with Nathan, you talk about the guilt that you still feel today, that, and so many of us would have been through that guilt of not thinking we could have been there more often. I mean, this is not a.
I suppose one of the hardest things, and really, and probably I should have dealt with it differently, and I suppose I didn't. And was the difficult thing was because of my job. All my job was Friday night away, Saturdays and Sundays, which meant it difficult to see Nathan. So there was periods where I didn't get to see him. I didn't see him during the week because he was at school. Or I'd sometimes try and get him for a few hours. we never got that bond because of my job. And I don't know if that's an excuse. I've used the job as an excuse. Probably I should have tried harder. I should have tried more. Possibly the relationship with my ex-wife could have been better, which could have probably made things easier. So the regret come as, you know, at the end, okay, we got a better relationship when he got older, of course, because he had his own mobile phone. We could speak a lot freely. But the regret came, and I always promised him when he passed his driving test. And it is a regret. It's stupidity, but it was a regret that, you know, I promised him a car and he chose a Mercedes. I think it was about £13,000, which is crazy. And he smashed it up after about 1 month. But I didn't care about him smashing it up. It was the fact that I'd just give him it to repair maybe some of the damage that I've caused. That doesn't repair it. A car didn't repair the damage. I'd already done it. However, it made us feel better, which is wrong. It's wrong, but...
What would he say to you?
I think we've got a better relationship now. I think because he's grown up a bit.
He doesn't look back and say, "Oh, come on, Dad, I wish we should have done that differently." Or
no, I think probably spending more time with him, being a father to him. However, the job didn't allow a lot. I did try and see him as much as I could. However, because of the disputes with my ex-wife, it became difficult, and that's a regret.
Do you not talk to her anymore? And
I respect if Nathan, if there was a problem. However, Nathan's old enough now. He's 19.
19.
I think he's coming 20 this year, and you know, he's old enough now to make his own decisions. He has his group of friends. I don't like it when he calls us at 3 in the morning for a cash code number. But no, it's. I suppose we have a better relationship now, even though we don't see each other much because I'm in Greece and he's in the UK. But you know, we'll at least try and speak on the phone, and he knows that I'm there if he needs us. And, you know, he needs us certainly for one thing, and that's cash, money. Sure.
I think there's probably many people who dads are in this very similar boat there. Just we spoke about your dad, and just coming onto your mum. I love the way you put "ma'am" in there. That's that northern thing with the A in rather than the U in. That's a great thing. And I noticed that there were 2 quotes which I picked out, and there was one where you put we won £1,000, and my mum did eventually take me to JD Sports, and it's the word "eventually" which was sort of like shows that, you know, an element of, you know, this could have happened before, and that sense that you were a bit let down, I suppose. You know?
It wasn't let down. It wasn't let down. It's just they didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be left out. I didn't, you know.
But even when they did have the money, you know, it was you could have taken them straight away, but you never did.
The family were gamblers.
Right.
My mother and father gambled a lot. We were gambling, so we used to put play spots on 25 pence. And like I wrote in the book that I won that £1,500 one night. And,
but did you know Did you know when you were a child? You knew they were gamblers, and you thought this is.
Yeah, the greyhound. They were back on the grounds every Saturday. We'd go to the horse race, and we'd go to the greyhounds on a Saturday night. It was fun as a family. I loved it.
Yeah. But it was for the gambling. It was.
They weren't huge gamblers, but
no,
what they had, they would like.
Rather than spend it on you, perhaps their children.
Yeah,
maybe.
but of course, but. We didn't do without. We would go to the airport I remember going to the airport to see the flights coming in. There used to be a 747 Air Canada. It used to come from Birmingham to Newcastle to Toronto, and we used to watch it. And I remember at the end of the runway, we used to run as it was coming in because it had to land low because Newcastle Airport's a short runway. And we had fun days. I wouldn't say we had bad times. We didn't go on holiday. We never went abroad.
I was going to ask that about holidays.
Going to restaurants was very unique.
Yeah.
But never went on holiday. We'd go to Lightwater Valley, or we would go Blackpool, or.
And are they happy times? Do you remember?
Yeah. I remember getting lost in Blackpool. I remember the donkey screaming, crying because the donkey was running into the sea as I was on the donkey in Blackpool. So you remember there's memories, always good memories. You know, you're not all, wasn't all sad. You know, wasn't all bad. I suppose. What you look at differently is you had to make your own entertainment then. where now the entertainment's completely different. Xboxes, PlayStations. Now my daughter's speaking online with their friends. The whole thing's gone where we didn't. We would have to knock on somebody's door, or you would have to ring the telephone, BT telephone in the house. It was, a completely different life. However, I suppose we had friends. I remember we always played football on the parks. Every night we would go down and put your courts as the goals, and you'd play football with the people in the estates. And
I really get the sense that you did a lot as a kid. You were very busy, and and that's what we all growing up in that sort of era did. As you say, there weren't the mobile telephones, but I wonder whether or not there's the sense that you were really. I mean, I asked this about your dad, but were you really loved by your mum as much as you needed to be?
No, I wanted more. I suppose you don't miss it as a child. From a child,
it's what you know.
Like my mum used to look after us. For example, I would go into the paper rounds on a Sunday, and the Sunday paper round was a nightmare. Any paper boy would know that the Sunday Times was a killer. Yeah. And the problem was, because of this state I used to deliver in Cramlington, which is north of Newcastle, it was a wealthy estate, which means everybody wanted the Times. They didn't want the Sunday Sun, the local paper. They wanted the Times, and the Times was thick. But I used to have to break the Times down to get it through the letterbox. And I used to have 3 bags. So the guy used to drop us, the manager of the shop used to drop me bags off behind the walls of different places. So once I'd finished 1 bag, I'd pick the 2nd bag up, and then the 3rd bag. And as a treat, my mother used to always make us boiled eggs, and I used to get a strawberry milkshake. That was me gift. I was always looking forward to going across the football pitch to get me strawberry milkshake.
I did read about the Sunday Times thing. We were thinking about having one sort of like strategically placed when you walked in.
Everybody knows them Sunday Times, and then
they're so thick. Yeah. But there's one quote which I thought for me was really said a lot, and I don't know whether you meant it, but it said, and I think it was in the preface, perhaps, I'm not sure, but you write, so maybe there are 2 Mark Clattenburgs, the dad, the husband, and the friend, and then the referee. But you don't say the son, You don't say the son. And I just wonder whether or not why you don't say the son, because wouldn't that be the obvious thing to say?
I don't know how my parents see me, because I was one of 3. I was the middle one, so I never saw myself as anything special. I never thought I was just the one that always was the entrepreneur. I was always washing cars, earning money. I was always wanting to earn money.
But you are their son. But you are a son.
Yeah, but I was always wanting to provide for them. I was always wanting to support them in every way.
To gain their love?
Probably. I wouldn't say for definite, but it was to be the not the special one, but the one. But I never seemed to get that. Maybe because they wanted to love all 3 together, like the same. But I did everything in me. I did everything that I wanted for my family, and that's why I always want to do things for my family. I want to do things for my friends, because it's the way I've always been brought up. I've always been brought up to be the one that wants to help people. And that's where I go back to what I said at the start of this interview. I still regret with Peter, because I could have helped. It was financial, and why he decided to do what he did. And it's a regret that I could have just helped him out. It was only money. It's only money. Life's more important than money.
You've got this, you see, for me, you're a good man who's created, as so many of us do, I suppose, create an exterior to the world. And it's not just in refereeing, I think, but just because of the experiences that you've had in life. And we do that, don't we, I suppose?
Yeah, but we're not.
We all do that.
But refereeing's not normal.
Yeah, refereeing. That makes it even more of an exterior you've got to create. Yeah.
It's one of them industries where it's one of the most difficult. very rewarding. I'm never going to say it's not rewarding. I've been very fortunate in life. However, it's one of the only industries in the world where you're scrutinised that much, and there's no right and wrong answer.
Yeah.
Even if I say it's right, they'll say it's wrong. And what one of the difficult things is in the industry is that you can't put right, you're wrong without anybody knowing. Where you can make a mistake at work, and your wife and children will not know about it tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't. It's out in the public eye, and that's a really difficult thing. And why people say, well, why did you choose refereeing? Because I loved it. I wanted to be a part of football. I loved football that much. I used to watch Newcastle and listen to the radio.
But isn't it more than that? Isn't it you wanted to show the world, and you wanted to show your family as well?
I wanted everybody to be proud. I wanted people. I wanted people
that
to
attention
be proud.
you didn't get. You strove for that attention as a.
But people used to, you've got to be careful with that, because people used to say, you're a attention seeker.
No,
you're
I
making
don't think
that
you
decision.
are. I don't
you're
think
making
you
that
are.
decision. I wanted
You're
to
not.
be the best in the world.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the best I could be.
Yeah.
And when I achieved what I did in 2016, my God, it was unreal. That everything I've sacrificed, and I've sacrificed a lot in life, Nathan. I've sacrificed, I remember when I was an electrician, I sacrificed a lot of weekends, a lot of money to invest in my future of being a referee. And when I've achieved what I did with all the issues in my life and all the issues in refereeing life, to achieve what I did was a sense of justice, that I achieved it without their support. What you said before is correct. Yeah, I wanted to achieve it. I didn't do it with my parents in the end. Okay, they supported us to a point, but I lost my father. My mother didn't speak. So I did it without the parents. I did it without the lack of support in my job from my employer. And to achieve it was hard work. And that's what I wanted the book to portray, that if you work hard, you can achieve.
I think it is a sense of justice. I've known you. We've met a number of times now, and you're not arrogant, but people will. I speak to people and I say, oh well, if you come up in conversation, then he's arrogant or he's whatever.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely not. And I say to them, you've got the wrong man there. He's not like that. You just don't see him, and that it's really important you say that. But I mean, I agree with you. I think it's justice, but isn't it also sort of, it's love. It's as justice as, it's something you're striving for something so hard. Because maybe that love wasn't there, and you just, you've got to go out there and say, now someone loved me, in that odd way,
Yeah,
it's I don't know, many people could say it.
Yeah, but I think everybody has stories of their lives, And,
but yours was difficult, wasn't it? I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was difficult, but it was difficult. Sure, it was. But I wanted to give people the real me, not, that I didn't come from a privileged background. I didn't come from a private school. I wasn't gifted anything. I had nothing. I was gifted nothing. And
it was just you.
Yeah.
And you made it.
Yeah, people, for example, I know people that took their father's business over. They're gifted a lot of things in life without much effort. And but going back to the arrogance thing, and that's something that I can't change what the public perception was, because what they saw of me on the football pitch, dealing with multi-millionaires. Now, I wasn't a multi-millionaire. I wasn't a millionaire.
You had to create a persona.
However, I had to manage them, and
Yeah.
if you speak to players had a different perception of me. I remember reading Stephen Gerrard's book, for example, when I first started refereeing, and I think it was me and Graham Paul was his two favourite referees at that point. And I'd only been in the Premier League 2 years. So players had a liking to my style of refereeing and how I interacted. For example, when I left the Premier League, I I was after Saudi, so I was in China, and I got a phone call. Can you referee Vincent Kompany's testimonial? So Vincent Kompany wanted me to referee his testimonial. That's a credit that he wanted. He could have chose anybody he wanted, but he wanted me to referee this match. I couldn't because I was in China, and I made my apologies, and he accepted them. However, a great player like him and an icon like him, Man City fans will probably think I'm the worst referee ever to be in Man City. However, a football player of his stature wanted me to referee. Why? Why? Because he had not a friendship, a bond. We had a mutual bond together that he respected me and I respected him. And he would never call us arrogant. But the perception coming in, I was arrogant.
Yeah.
But the players I wasn't.
And it is a totally wrong perception that people have. And I mean, it's acceptance, isn't it, I suppose? Acceptance that you are, will the world see you as the person that you really are, and not the person that you had to put up this, which, as you say in the book, this act for, really.
But that's I suppose that's one of our downfalls as human beings. And we all do it. We all make an assumption or I don't like him.
Yeah.
I don't like her. Why? We don't know the person. We're making an assumption, either how they speak or how they act, but you don't know them as people. You don't know if they're good parents, bad parents, good people, bad people. We don't know.
Yeah.
But straight away, we form an opinion. And most of my opinions will be because I've made a decision against their team.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what I do, you'll never change that perception. And, okay, most people who write things on social media, they're just keyboard warriors, because most of the people that you do see out are very respectful. And,
Yeah.
you know, they want to learn. And most people are like, oh, Mark, how are you? And you speak to them as normal people, and hopefully they'll learn that I'm not that person that they thought I was. And I can only do that by breaking down barriers, because referees couldn't speak for 11 years, 12 years, I wasn't allowed to speak.
It seems to me as though almost through a lot of your life you've been not allowed to speak, and you know that's built up perhaps. I wanted to ask you, are you happy?
Very happy in life.
Deep down?
Yeah, very happy. I've achieved everything I wanted in life. If my life ended tomorrow, I've been so privileged, so lucky. I had some enjoyable times as a child. The difficult times made us stronger, sure. Being the best in the world at something that you love doing is incredible achievement. And to be privileged to do the finals, to where I am now in Greece, privileged, working for UEFA and educating the referees in Greece. It's an honour. And I have a family that's very supportive. I support them. I want to give my daughter the best chance in life, which I think all parents do, want their children the best chances in life. And yes, they'll want to see me more. However, they know that for me to give them everything they want, I have to have some small sacrifices. And we'll make some more sacrifices for the next some years till I retire, and then I can enjoy my life playing golf and doing whatever I want to do.
Are you happy in yourself? Are you happy in yourself? Because I get a sense from the book that you're not really happy in yourself. You know?
No,
you're happy in your life, and you're happy. I get that.
I've achieved.
You've achieved.
I was always a perfectionist.
It's been amazing.
My problem was I was a perfectionist, and I used to come away from games frustrated. I don't think I ever had a perfect match. Never.
People would probably say you did, but
it's not because I was a perfectionist. I was like this as a person. For example, if that bottle didn't have the label the right way around, or the notes in your pocket all the same way, that was my way. I was always like that. My apartment in Greece, for example, is prestige. I have everything, me colour coded. It's just the way I am as a person. But I'm very happy. I've achieved so much. I'm now in a new era of my life, and actually, this new era is better than what I enjoy it better than being a referee. The pressures are different. Okay, I didn't get as much abuse on social media. When I left, I did. And then the problem with COVID, they started showing reruns of matches, so I got abuse again. But in reality, it's gone now. I remember a guy today, I was about to board a flight, and he goes, "You're that referee, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "You're Mark Halsey." I just started laughing. It's just the way life is.
What would you change about yourself? If you could change one thing, you had that magic wand to say, "I'm going to change something about myself." What would it be?
Probably, to be, I don't know, try to be a bit more relaxed and not intense. Probably because when I wanted to achieve so much for years, then I become very intense. I wanted everything to be perfect, and life can't be perfect. Unfortunately, it's not perfect. However, probably that causes problems in trying to be too perfect. And probably one of me sometimes regrets in refereeing was not enjoy the occasions, the big ones. I don't think I ever enjoyed a big match.
Really?
I wanted it to start and end because I didn't want to make a mistake. The final whistle was the best feeling in the world because it's finished. And probably regrets is, and I say this to referees now, when they're refereeing the big games, to try and enjoy it because I didn't. And it's a regret because you're just scared to make a mistake on the big occasion. So, I wish I could have changed that to enjoy it a bit more.
Anything else you would have changed? What would you have changed about your childhood?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
No, nothing, because I think it gave us the life skills. From a very early age, I looked after myself. Therefore,
It got you to the top?
Yeah.
In one
but
sense.
even just going to school on the school bus, on the public school bus, from a very young age, going to school on my own from 5 years old. We don't allow that with children to do that now, unfortunately, because society's changed, of course. However, we went to school, we came back ourselves. My mother, most of the time, was at work. So we had to look after ourselves, fend ourselves till they came in.
And that makes me sad to hear it. I mean, you must feel sad
it wasn't
saying
bad. It was just accepted. We had brothers and sisters around, would come in from school. I remember there was always 5 packets of crisps and 5 Mars bars to keep us going till we call it tea time or dinner time. And that was where our lives were. School, went to school, came back, but always fend for ourselves. So it actually gave us a great experience as well. That when I did leave school, did leave my parents, my mother at 18, I was ready. I knew how to look after myself. Where I don't believe, if I left my son now at 19 years old, he's not ready. Certainly not ready.
Oh, well, that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure, but that's...
I don't know if it's good, but at least give me life skills. And I suppose when we grew up in that society, you did get life skills.
Yeah.
Because we'd ventured out. Now your children play PlayStations. Yeah. They don't go out. They interact online. It's a completely different world.
Yeah. What are you afraid of? Is there anything you're afraid of? I don't mean spiders or anything, but in your what frightens you?
Nothing. I'm never scared in anything, even if I'm threatened. Because Greece is not an easy country to be in, especially involved in football. I don't worry about any threats. I'm not scared of anyone.
Anything make you nervous?
No, because I always want to do the right thing. I don't do anything wrong.
I sort of feel I'm getting that exterior, that tough exterior.
Yeah, I'm not scared.
Everyone's frightened of something, aren't they?
For example, Greece gives you another experience. Saudi Arabia gives us another experience. You can't be scared with people. If you show weakness, they'll take advantage.
And that's something you've learned all your life.
Yeah. You've got to be, even though you might be feeling it inside, you've got to show that I'm not worried. I'm not worried about death, for example. I've had an amazing life. whatever happens, happens now. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I just want to protect my family, make sure they're happy, make sure they're supported. And, you know, I've done what I've needed to do in life. And I'm sure there's another chapter out there. Thereul be
Hopefully.
something.
You're still young.
Yeah, probably refereeing the Leisure Leagues, another World Cup final probably.
In Mexico.
Yeah, sure.
Can I just ask you a few questions that people might be interested in? What's your favourite TV programme? If you get a chance to watch TV,
I'll tell you what it used to be, Question of Sport. I loved Question of Sport, yeah. I wanted to go on it. And we used to do it at school. I remember first school, primary school, we used to do Question of Sport, and I was always on it. I was always good at it. What happened next and stuff like that. So I always loved that.
Yeah, with the one with David Coleman, the old one with
the old one. Sue Barker, wasn't it? Sue
yeah.
Barker. But the problem is now it's all Netflix, isn't it? So it's all changed.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Nobody watches it anymore. Where'd you go on holiday? I mean,
I remember my first ever holiday abroad was Benidorm with one of my best friends. Yeah, he's not me. We still speak, but we're not as close as we used to be because it's different eras of life. And
sure, yeah.
We went to Benidorm as a first holiday, but Cyprus, and but now it's a lot Spain because I have a house there in Spain. So a lot of the family will spend a lot of time there. And
right.
A place called La Cala. I've been going there for about 12 years, and it brings back good memories, you know.
Right. Let's hope lots of supporters around the world not going to now.
Yeah.
Divulge on that. Now you've said that. Politics. Do you have any politics? I mean, you know at all. You're very tight-lipped. You've got your legs crossed and your arms are crossed. You're not going to say anything about that, are you?
It's one of the most boringest subjects in the world.
But there's things like climate change and all the things going on at the moment.
I'm not interested.
Not interested at all.
Seriously,
really?
People might say that's wrong, but climate change is important. They have to sort something out for the future of the world, sure. But I'm bored of politics. I don't understand it. I don't necessarily agree with different things. However, they've got a job to do. They've got a job to protect the country. I've always been conservative.
Even your family have been?
No, my family were Labour.
Right.
Because they were working class.
Right. What changed you to?
Because I always felt that if you work hard in life, it seemed that conservatives seemed to be the ones that wanted to protect. Because my philosophy in life was, why should you be punished if you work hard? That's my philosophy, right or wrong. People will say, because you earn a lot of money, you should pay taxes. I haven't got a problem with this. That's accepted. However, if I work hard, I should have the same, or if not better treatment than others. And, you know, it's all it should be about wanting to do better for yourself. And that was where I always believed, even if it was wrong, I always believed Conservatives give you that opportunity.
So you're a fan of Boris?
I'm not a fan of any of that. I don't even follow what they are. It's just I've always followed their philosophies, their philosophy in life. Do I agree with everything they do? No. Do I agree with the taxes and everything else? Taxes are taxes. You know, you got to pay 90% tax. If you earn £1 million, it's the same as earning.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, taxes are taxes, and you have to pay them.
I'm just interested. You mentioned death a moment ago. If you died, that would be. I mean, so you think that you know, you would generally be happy with everything you've done. Isn't there anything you want to do in the future? That one thing you think, I really want to do that.
It's interesting. I've got a bucket list that I still want to finish off, and I will finish it.
Oh, lovely.
So things like simple things, go and watching the Ashes in Australia. That's a must on my bucket list.
Fantastic.
Do a bit of Asia, even though I've seen China. Do a little bit more of Asia. I love America. I want to travel through America to the different parts, not New York and LA where we've all been before. I want to try somewhere different. Just things on my bucket list. And once I've done that, and a bit of traveling, what else? What would you want to do? There's no, from a working point of view and refereeing point of view, even though I didn't go to the World Cup final, I've got absolutely no regrets. And I always believe when a door closes, another one opens. And when I left refereeing, so many doors opened, and I've had so many wonderful experiences working in media, working in China, which was a great experience, Saudi Arabia, now Greece, working, just different companies which you couldn't work for. Enjoying the World Cups with leisure leagues.
Yeah.
Portugal was the very first one in Lisbon. Greece in Creta. And now Mexico, and I never had that opportunities, and you get more enjoyment and less stress than I did as a referee. So I've had even the last 4 years of my life that I've left the Premier League, and I got asked a question today when I hired my car. Do you want to come back to the Premier League? And the answer was simple, no.
Really?
Yeah, and he went, well, that's sad. You were the best. And I went, doesn't make that difference. I don't miss it.
Yeah, the stress of it.
Yeah, don't miss it.
What would be, coming back to the death point again? I suppose.
Thanks.
What would be on your gravestone? What would be your epitaph? What would be written on your gravestone?
If you work hard, you can achieve. And that's always been my motto in life. If you work hard, you can achieve. If you don't work hard, you don't. It's the same for children in exams. If they don't put the effort in, you don't get the rewards out. But the more you put in, the bigger the rewards. That's always my philosophy.
Mark Clattenburg, football referee. Thank you.
Thank you.